This isn't Apple being boring, it's Apple being careful. And when the most powerful company in tech suddenly becomes careful, that's usually not about design. It's about pressure because companies don't repeat themselves at this level unless repetition benefits them. And right now, Apple repeating a design tells a much bigger story than Apple reinventing one. Everyone else will frame this as simple. iPhone 18 Pro looks like the 17 Pro, end of story. Mild disappointment, cue the tweets, roll the thumbnails. But if you zoom out a little, this doesn't look like laziness, it looks like positioning. Apple isn't a YouTuber chasing views. Apple is a chess player protecting the board. And redesigns shake the board. They mess with manufacturing, accessories, supply chains, and most importantly, consumer comfort. Apple hates chaos unless they're the ones controlling it. The iPhone 17 Pro already gave them the visual refresh, bigger camera plateau, bolder finishes. That, yes, this is the new one look from across the room. Enthusiasts debated it for months, like art critics arguing about modern sculpture. But Apple doesn't grade design on Reddit polls, they grade it on upgrade rates. And if sales climbed, Apple reads that as validation, not controversy. Mixed reactions online often mean strong reactions in stores. Silence at checkout counters is what scares them, not spicy tweets. So, when Apple keeps the same exterior, what they're really saying is, the outside is no longer the battlefield. The inside is. Enter the A20, the rumored 2nm chip, the real star of the show. Faster, cooler, more efficient. Yes, you've heard those words every year since smartphones learned how to count. But this isn't just about speed. It's about narrative, AI processing, battery longevity, future-proofing. Apple wants your phone to feel like a 5-year appliance, not a 2-year fling. And here's where the psychology kicks in. Samsung competes loudly, bigger zoom, wild form factors. Look what we tried this week. Samsung wants attention. Google competes philosophically, AI features, smart tools, identity experiments. Google wants to be perceived as the brain. Apple wants to be the safe decision, the default, the phone you buy when you don't want to think too hard. And being the safe decision is insanely profitable. Because the silent majority, the people not watching phone leaks at 2 a.m., don't upgrade for aesthetics. They upgrade because their battery is tired, their storage is full, or their phone starts sounding like a microwave when opening the camera. Performance solves pain. Design mostly feeds comment sections. Tech Twitter treats redesigns like Marvel movie releases. Normal humans treat phones like refrigerators. If it works and looks fine, don't move the kitchen around. Now the front of the phone, that's where Apple might quietly play. Smaller cutouts, maybe under-display Face ID, subtle refinements. That's Apple's favorite move. Invisible progress. Changes you don't brag about, but subconsciously appreciate. Apple loves upgrades you feel before you notice. It's the tech equivalent of someone cleaning your house so well you think you became organized overnight. But let's ask the uncomfortable questions. Would Apple rush under display tech if Samsung and Chinese manufacturers weren't racing toward full-screen phones? Probably not. Apple rarely pioneers. They perfect when the risk is low and the reward is high. That's not cowardice, that's discipline. Apple doesn't want to be first. They want to be last and right. And while enthusiasts yell no redesign again, Apple is looking at a 2.5 plus billion device ecosystem and thinking, why would we destabilize this? Familiarity is underrated. Familiarity sells. The average buyer walks into a store, sees the new iPhone looks like an iPhone, and feels safe. No learning curve, no regret risk, no weird experiment to explain to friends. Just, this is the new one, it's faster. Done. Card out. There's also a power move here toward accessory makers and suppliers. A stable design tells the entire industry, invest here. This shape stays. That creates loyalty and dependency. It locks the ecosystem tighter. Stability in Apple language is dominance wearing a calm face. And honestly, this whole situation feels like the corporate version of saying, I'm not mad, while absolutely being mad. Apple sees Samsung throwing hardware punches and Google pushing AI narratives. And instead of reacting loudly, Apple doubles down on control. Control of timing, control of messaging, control of user expectations. Apple doesn't chase the story. They wait for the story to chase them. What's revealing isn't that Apple kept the design. What's revealing is that they believe they can keep it and still win. That confidence only comes from data, from knowing most buyers care more about smoothness than spectacle, more about battery life than bragging rights. And here's the twist people don't like admitting. If the iPhone 18 Pro is noticeably faster, cooler, and smarter in daily use, most people will call it a bigger upgrade than a new look. Because after the unboxing, you live with performance, not aesthetics. No one stares at the back of their phone while scrolling. So the story isn't Apple ran out of ideas. The story is Apple realized they don't need new ideas on the outside to keep momentum on the inside. That's a luxury only a market leader gets. And maybe the real tension here is this. If Apple makes phones too good internally, upgrades slow down. If upgrades slow down, excitement drops. So Apple has to walk this weird line between progress and restraint, give you enough to upgrade, not enough to wait 5 years. That balance is harder than any redesign. In the end, when Apple repeats a design, they're not out of moves. They're consolidating power. They're saying, we like our position on the board. And in competitive strategy, holding position can be stronger than making a flashy move. So maybe the real question isn't whether the iPhone 18 Pro looks new. Maybe it's who this makes uncomfortable. Samsung, who thrives on visible change? Google, who needs narrative momentum or users realizing their current phone is still fine? Because in tech, the company that looks calm is often the one applying pressure quietly. And the moves you don't notice are usually the ones that matter most. See you next one. Peace out.